Hey, everybody. Um, I have, I guess, pretty much finished my hat, except for the buttons. I'm still waiting on the buttons, but I think I'm through putting patches on my hat because one thing I learned, it was okay, I guess, sewing the patch on, but just a little word of warning to anybody, and you can probably tell where I got some of the glue, but on the bill of the hat. But I think that just kind of adds some texture. Maybe I'm just lying to myself. I don't know. But if you're ever thinking about putting a fabric patch on the bill of a hat, uh, don't use fabric glue because I thought fabric glue was really going to work for this, and I'll show you what I actually ended up purchasing. So you guys, if you're ever doing this, you won't make the same mistake I did. I got something called Fabric Fusion that is evidently I paid like $6 and something for it at Amazon. It's supposed to be a permanent fabric adhesive, and evidently it got several good reviews, but uh, I'm just here to tell you guys it didn't really work to put this patch on the bill of the hat. So, if you're ever thinking about doing that and you can't really sew it because the bill of the hat is so stiff, I would suggest using glue or some kind of super glue, and just try not to get it out around the edges. I didn't really so much. I think this is the Fabric Fusion glue that got out, because the super glue didn't really ooze out like the fabric glue did. So just a little tip there in case y'all are ever trying to do something kind of like what I'm doing. Um, so, Mill like you say, did anyone watch Friday 13th Vengeance 2 Bloodlines? It was very good. I did not. And honestly, I to be honest, Mill like I don't think I've heard of that one. So I won't be including that in my thing tonight because I don't feel like I could really talk about the kills other than the ones that I've seen at least once, and that is not one of them. So, but I may try to watch it at some point since you said it was very good, though. Hey, John, you say I rewatched Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 today. What the fuck is that movie? uh, well, John, I was kind of like that the first time I watched. And you're saying you rewatched it, but like the very first time I watched Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2, I wasn't a big fan of it. Um, but I guess it grew on me over the years. So like I didn't watch it for a long time, and then uh it came out on DVD or whatever, and I got it, and I was like, well, this is okay, but for my money, um, the first prom night is always going to be the cream of the crop. It's going to be the best one for me. Um, I think what they kind of tried to do with the prom night series is kind of what John Carpenter had envisioned originally for the Halloween sequels. He never meant to put Michael Myers in all of them. He meant to have like a different story. Um, and I'm not trying to justify this movie in any way, but I'm thinking it was kind of along the same lines. Whereas instead of having a Halloween theme, they had, all these different stories from Hamilton High. Like, and daggone these stupid flies. Every time I bring out the alcohol, and I do have the alcohol, it's cinnamon whiskey, and every freaking time I do this, it draws these stupid flies. I thought we were kind of getting a handle on them, and now there's two of them that are buzzing around, and I'll have to watch them because they will get in my drink, and then when I take a sip, I'm going to be drinking flies. But anyway, back to Hello Mary Lou prom night 2. And I swear this is the first drink I had today. I know I'm kind of talking kind of weird. But so I think maybe that's what they were doing, trying to do with it because I don't know. They kind of started telling a different story with prom night too. Like the first prom night was about young Robin Hammond being accidentally killed, and these kids know the secret. And they were there, and then somebody else knows the secret and is killing off the kids that caused Robin to fall out the window. Then comes along Hello Mary Lou prom night 2, and they had a different story from Hamilton Eye, only it was Mary Lou's story. So maybe that's what they were trying to do. It kind of seems like they were trying to go that route with it, but perhaps I'm wrong. Johnny say, yeah, I ate a one night hotel cost on Scarefest, but it didn't make sense to go 4 hours away. Plus, Beck had been feeling sick that week, so I was like, "Nah, I'm not risking this." Yeah, John, in that case, I really don't. I don't blame you, and I enjoyed my time at Scarefest, and I'm not sorry that I went. Um, But I will have to agree with a lot of other people that the prices are getting totally out of hand for things. I mean, I didn't go up and meet Robert England. I didn't even no, I didn't do that. I have Robert England's autograph from a super long time ago, back when I did kind of the thing that CK and Uncle Bill did, is uh, I would either send something to get it signed, or I would send them a nice letter and say, I'm trying to collect autographs. And this was way back before conventions were big. And Robert England sent me a free picture. I mean, it wasn't a Freddie picture, it was a headshot of him, and he signed it. And to me, that's good enough. I wouldn't mind going up and meeting him maybe at some point in time, but I am not going to pay 100 and something dollars for him to scribble his name um, on something. I'm just not. Um, but and people might think I'm crazy for. I spent $60 for Michael Berryman to get his autograph. I brought my Hills Have Eyes vinyl, and he signed it because his face is on there. And I thought, well, this is a pretty cool thing to have signed. And it was 40 to have him sign something, and it was another 20. And I know, guys, I've said over and over again that I'm going to stop. I'm not going to pay people that charge me extra to take a selfie with my phone. Uh, but to me, this was Michael Berryman. So I relented, and I kind of leaned over to Steve while I was waiting in line. And I said, well, maybe I hoped against hope that some of this money was going to that wolf sanctuary that Michael Berryman gives money to or supports and does all that. And perhaps it was. You probably think, gee, Dana, yeah, keep telling yourself that. But I think, we're pretty much gone are the days when you're going to be able to get somebody's autograph for free or for 10 to $20 and get a picture for free. I think those days are gone. And we can wish and hope and do all kinds of things, but it just ain't happening. So we either got to make a choice. And for everybody, it's their own personal choice. And I'm not going to say anybody's right or wrong or stupid or smart for whatever they do, because they're making a choice based on what they think is good for them. And if they don't want to go and spend that money, like I chose, I'm not going to go up and pay Robert England $120 $125 to scribble his name on something. I'm not. I made that choice myself, but I'm not going to call somebody stupid that chose to do that. They have their own set of personal spending rules for themselves, or maybe they don't. Maybe they just spend what they want. But I have no right to tell anybody else you're stupid for doing this. And I know what people say. They say, well, as long as people keep giving these people these outrageous amounts of money, it's never going to stop. But guys, it's never going to stop anyway. We've reached the point of no return. I've accepted that. So what I do is I just make choices based on me. If I don't want to do it, then I'm not going to do it. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And when it comes down to it, that's what everybody's going to do, isn't it? And I'm not admonishing anybody that says, oh, you're foolish for spending X number of dollars on this, that, and the other. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm choosing not to, talk down to somebody or talk bad about somebody, say they're crazy, say they're stupid, say they're wasting their money, say that they're the cause of all these prices going up. Guys, here's my honest opinion on it. The prices would be jacked up regardless of who spends what on what. Okay? It's just the way things go and the way things change. No matter how much we would want things to stay the way they used to be, they're not. Not in any arena, and especially not in the conventions arena. Okay? It's not just horror conventions, it's all conventions. I mean, whether you're a Trekkie or a sci-fi person, or a cosplay person, or you're a gamer, it doesn't matter what you are. The prices have went up all the way around. Okay. So we just got to make the choices that each individual person has got to make the choices for them. And I'm not trying to preach to you guys, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything like that. I'm not. I'm just saying, for me, I've come to the conclusion that this stuff was going to go insanely out of control just with the passage of time. It was just bound to happen. We lived the good life for a little bit, and now it's time to pay the piper now. So I just got off on that a little bit because I would hate to see people, and I'm not saying this because John was talking about why he didn't go. John had very valid reasons, in my opinion, for not going and for choosing not to go. But I just don't want people. I would hope that people wouldn't get in nasty arguments like they have over movies. Like when Halloween Ends came out, people were getting really nasty, and that's why I kind of, although people probably didn't care what I said, but I kind of jumped in on this conversation where people were, throwing around words like stupid, moron, crazy, and at the end of the day, guys, is it worth getting into a verbal knockdown, drag out fights over a movie? I don't think so. And I don't want the same thing to start. Well, it already does a little bit, but I don't want it to get any worse when it comes to conventions. And I know I can't stop anybody. I can't not, uh, I could tell them all day long, try to be nice to each other over this stuff. If you choose to go or not go, or you choose to spend $5,000, or you choose to spend $10 or $20 or something, like, it's all good. We don't need to, here's something else, and I promise I will get off of this convention thing, but here's something else. it seems like sometimes and I'm not saying this about any particular person. I'm just saying in general. I've noticed over the last few years, if somebody is either not into something anymore or they have made the personal choice that I'm not going to these conventions. That's cool. That's groovy. But don't tell me that you're wasting your time by going, Dana. You're wasting your money by going, yada yada yada. Um, it's fine if you decide for yourself, and I will respect your decision either way. But why can't you respect my decision? You know, and I'm getting rid of Sex Chat 69 site right now. Okay, because we're not talking about that stuff. But so anyway, just my 2 cents, and I'll climb off my soapbox now. um, and Johnny said, I just bought Blu-ray, so I got out of what I would have done at Scarefest. Yeah, I totally get that, John. Yeah, and John, I mean, I totally respect that, and I don't myself. I don't go whole hog on autographs anymore. But I think I said this last night, that Michael Berryman for me was on my bucket list. And unfortunately, I was broke last year when Michael Berryman was at Scarefest. So I was determined that unless it was just completely off the scale, like Robert England level or something, I was going to. At first, I just said that I was going to get a picture with him, and that was it, you know. But then I pulled my Hills Have Eyes vinyl out, and I thought, this would be pretty cool to get this signed too. And that was just my thinking. Um, and then we got closer to his table, and I seen he had the page up there with the prices, and I leaned over to Steve and I said, you know what? The autograph itself is 40, and then it's another 20 for the picture, or the selfie. And Steve said, well, don't. He said, do what you want, but if you don't want to spend that money, don't get the autograph. I said, well, I kind of feel bad because I'm standing here with this record album. And what am we going to do? Like hide it behind my back or something like that? I guess I shouldn't be such a weenie. If I decided that, when I saw that price, if I didn't want to pay that, I should have just, you know, manned up or womaned up or whatever, and just went up there and shook his hand, said, it's nice to meet you. Can I get a picture with you? And paid the $20 for the selfie. But I didn't. I went on and paid the full 60 for both. And I realized everybody isn't going to be like when I met Ian McCullough. And with Ian McCullough, I paid $50 essentially. But that got me the little zombie mini poster. It got me the autograph, and it got me the selfie with him. And, I guess really in the grand scheme of things, Michael Berryman was only $10 more. Right. So again, everybody has to make their own, individual choice about it. Oh man, like you say, Bloodlines is a new fan film, not a theatrical release. Okay, I got you. Um, so I don't remember if me and Steve have seen that one or not. I've seen some fan films, but I didn't think I'd seen that one. And John, you said the Prom Night and Silent Night series are like kissing cousins of random franchise sequels. Yeah, pretty much. Um, hey, Texas. Mill Lake, you say celebrities are NFTs with their likeness more and more. NFTs are the future. Yeah, unfortunately. Hey, TJ, you say, so Friday the 13th, huh? What's that all about? LOL. Hi, guys. Well, I promise I'm going to get to what this is all about here in just a little bit, TJ. Um, Hey, Dirk, you say, yeah, Texas Frightmare up their prices. I do collect autographs, so I'll just buy certified Beckett or JSA off eBay. I mean, like you say, celebrities have to make a living, and many don't consistently earn money from royalties. Yeah, mean, like you are right about that. Some people talk about, how much more are they going to try to squeeze from the fans? And I was thinking about that too. I see a lot of these people that were big at one time being in little, like, low budget things here and there, or being in these fan films and all of that. And I think about that too. I think about it quite often, usually around convention time, that I think, yeah, I know these people seem like they're charging a lot. Now, Robert England, I'm sorry. God bless Robert England. I love the guy. But I think that was way too much, um, because to me, Robert England is still a recognizable name, that Robert England can still get work. Um, I mean, even if it's a smaller part in something, he can still get it. Um, I mean, even if he's not playing Freddie. But some of these other people, yeah, this is where they make their money. That's where they make their a lot of their money. So I try to think in terms of that, because I was trying to think, and somebody may be able to refresh my memory. When I was thinking about Michael Berryman, I was like, when was the last time I saw Michael Berryman in something where I thought he was going to be making a lot of money? So you are totally right on that, Millie. Durkee said also horror boxes are an option too from Zobi and other places. You get shirts and other cool shit. Yep. Yeah, I always like those too. And John, you said, agree, Dirk. You can get good stuff there with an autograph. TJ, you say, I'd rather just talk a bit and get a selfie. And that's how I am with most people now, TJ. That I just, I'll I'll talk to them for a little bit if they don't have, like, a bunch of people in line or something like that. And I'm not saying that anybody's wrong for if they do talk a long time and there's people in line, but, I try to not only be, I guess, sympathetic towards the people that are waiting in line behind me, and also the guest as well, unless the guest turns out to be a total asshole, and then I probably wouldn't care either way. But yeah, I get that. You say unless the celebs look nothing like they used to, then I maybe get an autograph. 7 years ago was probably the best when many celebs were like $20. Yeah, but wouldn't you agree, TJ, that time is over? I mean, we won't see that again. So really, I can't see that complaining about it at this point is going to do any good. John, you say, my only holy grail I want is Kurt Russell. And that's never happening. I don't think I'm ever going to meet Kurt Russell either. You say you have his autograph from something my wife got from eBay years ago, and that's about the best I'll get. I guess probably a couple more holy grails for me would be Sam Raimi. And I know everybody tells me, or almost everybody is telling me, that Sam Raimi's going to cancel this Lexington Comic Con next March. But I'm just going to say, like my dad would always say, hide and watch, and see if he does. I'm not going to pre order tickets. I'm not that naive. But I'm gonna wait closer to time for it and see if he's, if I'm getting a feel that he's definitely gonna be there. And then I'll buy my tickets. Okay. And then I don't think I'm ever going to get this chance now, being as old as this guy is. But Dario Argento, for both Steve and I, that's a holy grail one too. Um, Johnny saying, unless I go to California to buy his wine, I may do that one day and sneak in a Captain Ron DVD signature. Um, Darky say, hell yeah, John. I just got a Linda Blair kick ass exorcist print COA for 50, and I didn't have to meet her mean ass and fight crowds and waste gas. That's perfect, Dirk. Perfect. Well, Uncle Bill's gonna weigh in on this. He says there's no way these idiots need to be charging what they're charging. They know that and their agents know that. Truthfully, most of the time they just don't want to lower the prices out of vanity. But Uncle Bill, let me ask you this though. And I'm not trying to start anything. I just really want your opinion on it. Um, don't you feel like that the time has already come and gone for us to even consider anybody lowering prices? I just feel like it's everything else. Like everything else, inflation affects everything, right? So, everything has gone up. Food has gone up. Gas has gone up. Everything has gone up. Clothing has gone. I mean, everything has gone up. And I realize that that's not exactly the same thing as people having these convention prices for their autographs and selfies and all that jazz. But um, I just figure it's just what comes with time. Um, and I just figure either we go with it and only get the ones we want, and if we don't want to get any at all, then that's groovy too. But what I've been doing personally for myself is just limiting myself to only those people that I really have an interest in meeting and most likely getting a picture with, especially if they're really outrageous prices. That will be the case. Um, TJ says way over. Yes, man, like that's what I was getting at. The days of low priced autographs and free autographs have ended. We're never ever going to be able to go back to that. So again, I feel like it goes back to every individual has to make their own choice about what they're willing to buy or not buy or how they want to spend their money. Um, Uncle Bill, you say he's signing something this weekend, actually. Um, so who's signing something this weekend? You said Garrett was talking about it. It's not a horror con. Um, Darky say meeting them is cool, but sometimes it fucks up the fandom when they're assholes or bitches. And I agree that with that statement, Dark. It does. Um, and I haven't really ran into anybody, thankfully, that's been either an asshole or a bitch to me. I've been lucky that way. I've had some experiences that were a little more underwhelming than I thought they were going to be. But I feel like part of that is my fault because I build these things up in my mind and then imagine what it's going to be like to meet these people. And then when these people are a little more reserved or certain things happen that cause the experience to be a little rushed, I guess is the best way I would say it. Um, those kind of things have happened to me, but I have been fortunate enough that nobody that I've met has either been an asshole or a bitch to me. John, you say, oh, yeah, that's right. It was that Pennsylvania wine thing. Yeah, I didn't know if that, I'd fly up there, LOL. TJ said, by the way, gonna guess any event Sam Raimi was at, it's going to be probably packed and you won't get more than a hello, thanks, goodbye. Well, TJ, at this point in my life, that would be enough for me because, like I said, Sam Raimi's one on my bucket list. And people can say what they want. They can say he's going to cancel. He's going to cancel. Well, I'm just going to wait and see. I'm going to wait in the wings, and I'm just going to see how things go. DJ, you say, "Damn, I can't spell." LOL. Well, the longer the night goes on, and the more of these I have, I probably wouldn't be able to spell either. Um, Uncle Bill, you say, yeah, I feel like these celebs' time has come and gone and they need to politely go away or find an actual job. LOL. Doug, you say, Ed Gwynn from TCM 74 is 20 and cool as hell. I talked with him for about an hour. Are you talking about Ed Neal, Dirk? Because that's the only Ed I could think of from TCM 74. But that is really cool that he's still, at 20. TJ said they ain't going nowhere. Ha ha. Oh, Uncle Bill, you said Kurt Russell is signing something this weekend. I got you. Okay. And Uncle Bill, you say, I don't understand the allure of meeting celebs at cons anyway. 9 times out of 10, it's a waste of money and time. They just say thanks or whatever politely, and that's it. But sometimes they're total assholes. Well, again, Uncle Bill, I mean, that's cool. That's groovy that is the way you feel at this point. But again, I have not had any issues with anybody I've met. And that, I guess that's just luck, maybe on my part. I don't know. Because I know it's not my wonderful personality or anything like that that's making everybody be nice to me. Um, eh, but Uncle Bill, you didn't always feel this way though, right? So something has happened, whether it was people being assholes to you or something else that took away that allure. Because, I mean, I remember when you used to like to get autographs. I mean, that was back in, when I first met you in CK, that was around 09. You guys were enjoying it back then. I just, I guess it was too many times of somebody being an asshole or too many, not not good experiences in other ways of meeting somebody. It was not what you thought. And I get it. It soured you at some point. Um, but I'm just saying that rather than trying to understand why somebody wants to spend X number of dollars or why somebody wants to meet so and so, I figure we just, you know, accept it as it is and just go on and do our own thing. I mean, that's what I do anymore anyway, and I'm not telling you you shouldn't ask questions, Uncle Bill. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm just saying for me, I give up asking questions about things a long time ago. I mean, every once in a while, I'll bring up a question about a movie or something like that. But I gave up trying to figure out why anybody does anything that they do. We could go into a whole philosophical discussion about, I don't understand why so and so does this. I don't understand why so and so believes that. You get what I'm saying? But I get that you're confused about that, but I think there was a time when all of us, at least those of us that have went to several conventions, there was a time when all of us was just that was the place to be. And granted, it wasn't all about getting autographs and meeting people and getting pictures and stuff like that. For a certain time period for me, it was about going and hanging out with people that I knew. And it was the after con stuff. It was hanging out in hotel rooms and eating pizza and drinking alcohol. And uh, when I met CK and Uncle Bill and started hanging out with them a little bit more, it became more about, oh, I'm going to go to this convention. I might meet one or two people, but I'm going to hang out with my friends. So I get that, and I had some fun times. And I know, I think Uncle Bill mentioned this on his Scarefest video he did, that whereas it used to be about, you know, I'm not a heavy partier, I never was. Um, but I did start drinking more when I started hanging out with other people at the conventions and the after convention, I don't want to say shenanigans, because we didn't really get in any trouble. It was just, fun. Um, but now at 46, it's quite a bit different. And I think Uncle Bill mentioned it in his video or his stream, that when you get in your 40s, that kind of stuff starts to fizzle out. But I would, like a lot of other people, like to just hang out with friends. I would just like to go somewhere and hang. We don't have to be at a convention, just get together and have like a Dead Pit alumni type of thing. That would be awesome. We wouldn't have to go to a convention. I mean, I don't know where we would go, but something. Hey, Blissful. Uncle Bill, you say, which ruins my experience, so why bother? You mean when people are assholes? John, you say, I love John Carpenter, but I don't want to get yelled at for not having him a joint and an Xbox gift certificate. Seriously, did somebody get yelled at for not giving him a joint and an Xbox gift certificate? Yes, Dirk, that is a very important point to bring up. You say, can we have a moment of silence for the great Ted White? He was 96 and died on October 14th, 2022. Rest in peace. You had a good run. He certainly did. And Ted White, although I never got to meet him, uh, seemed to be a really great guy and a really a, kind of a character. So yes, let's have a moment of silence for Ted White. Okay. Um, I hope that's kind of what you meant, Dirk. Let's see. Oh gosh, yes. Ed Gwynn, the truck driver. I totally forgot about that guy, Dirk. The truck driver that hits Leatherface with the pipe wrench. I totally forgot that guy's name. That's awful. But thank you for reminding me, though. Ed Neal's cool as fuck too, though he was 40. Yeah. Um, yeah, I understand Uncle Bill too, Blissful. That a lot of things get tiring and old, and um but I guess I'm just not ready to pack it in yet as far as conventions are concerned. I don't go to nearly as many as I used to. It seemed like I used to go to every single one of them that was close enough, for me to go. And then some of them not so close because when I first got with Steve, we went to Cinema Wasteland, and that's in Ohio. That's just outside of Cleveland in Strongsville, Ohio. So that's quite a ways. So actually just meeting them, it took the fizz out of things, Uncle Bill. So you said meeting these people is really what happened. I mean, there's only been about two celebs that were total assholes. The majority of the rest are just met like nothing. There's no purpose for it. Okay, well, let me ask you this, Uncle Bill, and I'm not trying to start any kind of like deep philosophical discussion on this. Um, what would you have liked to have happen with these experiences? I guess it's probably what would have made the experiences more than meh is what I'm just wondering. John, you say I saw Martin Short and Steve Martin live last weekend. I would have loved to meet them, but they didn't sign. It was just a concert comedy thing. But I bet that was cool though. Uncle Bill, you said the whole setup is artificial and it's kind of like prostitution. Just pay someone to act like they like me for 5 minutes. Nah. John, you say a Martin Short Clifford autograph. I'd pay for it. LOL. Hey, Darren, you say, hey guys, I doubt any of them are paying even 10% of the tax they should be. They're definitely not going anywhere. Easy money. It's sad to see them taking advantage of fans. Uncle Bill, you say, I'm really not confused about it though. I just had more experiences with the celeb scene. I'm fine with going to cons for merch and people. The celebs part is crazy and should be DOA. Dirk, you say it's like paying a prostitute and both parties are getting what they really want. Hey, Wes, you say where everybody knows your name. Johnny say, yeah, it can be awkward. Meeting Joe Bob was like meeting a second father to me, so I was kind of starstruck. I know that's stupid, but being a '90s kid, he was cool. No, I've met Joe Bob 3 times now, and you guys, some of you are probably like, God dang it, why? Um, but it's just the experience for me, and Joe Bob. Thankfully, I mean, feel free to correct me, some of you guys, if you've met him and it's been outrageously priced for an autograph or anything. But what has been like the big money maker at the last two shows I went where Joe Bob and Darcy were there? It was how Redneck Saved Hollywood show. And Steve says we don't need to go to any more of these, but I mean, he came to Louisville twice, so of course I was going to go. Um, but the experience is always good when I meet Joe Bob. The experience is excellent when I've met Darcy, the 2 times that I've met her. Um, she is very personable. Um, and Joe Bob is very personable too. I don't get nervous talking to them, but there's always a lot of people at the shows I go to see them. So I generally don't talk a long time. I will chat a little bit with them. And this last time I met Joe Bob, he seemed like he was, I don't want to say he seemed like he was hungover, but he seemed really tired. His hair was a little tasseled. And Darcy, on the other hand, seemed more talkative than Joe Bob this time. And perhaps she got more sleep. Maybe she was able to take more of a nap than Joe Bob was before the show. They were running late too, so I don't know what happened to do it, but it's still a nice experience meeting both of them again. And I actually felt like I got to have a conversation with them, and I feel like I've had that conversation with them and Joe Bob by himself when I met him by himself at a convention, um, than I have with almost anybody else that I've met. Uh, well, I'm doing shots, TJ, or shooters rather. I mean, I guess anybody can join me if they want to. Although I'm not encouraging people to drink. Um, John, you say, "Oh no, I was just messing." Carpenter is a known grumpy ass. I've heard that a lot over the years, and perhaps he's gotten more grumpy. But I tell you, when I met him at Fright Night that time and got his autograph, he was. I mean, he was pleasant with me. But I did hear some people say that he was grumpy or can be grumpy. Yeah, and I have heard that he is quite high most of the time. TJ says, speaking of, actor Leslie Jordan died today. Car accident caused by a possible heart attack. Oh wow, boy, all these people dying has really bummed me out lately. Well, Wes, that's cool. Um, the, I mean, if I hate not being able to see at conventions, but if you're fine with ever going to another convention, I'm not gonna, begrudge you that. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you you're stupid or anything like that because that's your personal choice that everybody has to make for themselves. Whether you know they're gonna get groceries on Friday or they're gonna get them on Saturday or they're gonna get them in the middle of the week. I mean, it's decisions like that. I mean, when it comes down to it, what each one of the decision that each one of us makes, does it really affect anybody else? No, it doesn't. If Wes never goes to another convention, that's going to affect me zero. Other than the fact that I miss seeing my buddies at conventions. But thankfully, with Wes, Steve and I have gotten to hang out with Wes and Sarah. Um, at other times and places and things like that. It doesn't have to be a convention. Um, so yeah, I get that, Wes. TJ, you say, yeah, Texas goes to show you just gotta just enjoy life when you can. Don't sweat the small stuff. John, you say that How Redneck Saved Hollywood show is amazing. It's every bit worth the price just for the history. Yeah, and even though Steve told me, he's like, Dana, we went and saw this show twice. Um, Once kind of like right before the pandemic hit, and then more recently we went and saw Joe Bob again. But he does talk about similar things, but the show's a little bit different every time. So yeah, I agree with that. Darren, you said when someone can charge 140 for writing their name and more on top of that for a photo, Robert England getting nearly $300 for a few minutes, the world's gone mad. There's people starving in the streets. Now, I agree that that is ridiculous, in my opinion. I'm not going to pay it. Um, but I can't, you know, I cannot justify, myself by going and telling everybody else that did that, you're stupid, you're causing problems, you're causing all these other astronomical prices because I don't know that. I don't know that. So I just let people, as long as they're not out there in the streets killing people or something like that, I'm content with letting people do with whatever they want. They're not breaking any laws or anything like that. And I don't hold these people that pay that ungodly amount responsible for the prices skyrocketing. The prices were going to skyrocket given time anyway. Um, but that's my belief, and you guys can take it with a grain of salt. Um, I promise I am going to get to the Friday the 13th kills here in a second, but we are having a really good conversation about cons here. So, Johnny said those type of shows I think are worth more than getting an autograph because it's always more entertaining. I wish more older directors would do that lecture type stuff. Here's what I think. I would rather, I know these convention promoters have to make their money and they have to pay the guests. I get that. But, you know, although we talk about gone are the days of getting cheap and free autographs, but what about being able to get into these damn things reasonably? Guys, I got 2 tickets to Scarefest and it cost me um over $60 because not only did I have to pay about $30 a piece for the tickets for one day for Saturday, but I had to pay a surge on each one of those tickets. So I think some of the blame could go on these promoters because I don't think they need to make the tickets that high. I really don't. And again, I realize they've got to pay for their venue. They've got to pay the guest. And there's overhead costs attached. I know that. I realize that. But I think they could do something. They could do something. And they just aren't doing it because it is sort of like a pain to have to pay 60 something dollars for 2 tickets. And then on top of that, that's just to freaking get in the place. That's to freaking get the armband so you can go in there where the vendors and the guests are. Then, if you buy anything from vendors or you get any autographs, you get any pictures, yada, 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 that's added on. Plus, you got to eat, right? So, you don't necessarily have to go to the place I went to, but because they closed the Beating Mongolians or Mongolian Grill here in Louisville, the only time I get to eat there now is when we go to Lexington. So I talked Steve into us going there after we left the convention. So we had a nice meal. So that was another, $60 or so with tip, you know. So yeah. I mean, it's all, it all takes money. John, you said just a 2 to 3 hour show. TJ, you said true, Darren. Then again, I don't know how many of those people will be donating to charity instead of spending money on autographs. Probably not many. TJ said, no offense to people spending money how they want it. Yeah, I get it, TJ. I get it. Durkee said the prices went up because of the fans or scalpers on eBay. Well, I would have to agree with you somewhat on that, Dirk, because you know what? I'm sure there were some guests at these conventions that got tired of like, I'm giving somebody a free autograph or I'm giving somebody a $10 or $20 autograph. And then they're going on eBay and selling it for oodles of money. I get that. So they're probably like, where's my piece of the pie here? So yeah, I get that, Dirk. That makes perfect sense to me. But me, on the other hand, I keep all the autographs I've got. I don't jack up the price and put them on eBay. So, you guys, we've talked almost an hour about conventions and stuff, which is cool. I'm gonna try not to keep everybody long talking about these Friday the 13th kills. Um, because as I was going through these different kills and stuff, I was like, I have, very few favorite kills from each of these movies. Actually, I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. Part 6 was the one for me that I had the most favorite kills. Okay. So I am going to cover the remake. I am going to cover Jason X. I am going to cover Freddy versus Jason. But when I do talk about the kills for Freddy versus Jason, I'm only going to include the Jason kills. If I do one of these for A Nightmare on Elm Street, then when I get to Freddy versus Jason, I will talk about my fave Freddy kills from that. So I hope that you guys all understand that and nobody's upset that I'm not going to be covering both of the kills. And there's at least one of the kills in part 6 that's going to get an honorable mention. Okay. And I may do some explanation of some of these, maybe why it was my favorite kill. But again, um, I'm not going to, I'm going to try not to go on and on too much with this. Um, Dougie say, yeah, I'm not selling no autographs. That's a whole other edition. LOL. So I'm going to get started with the first Friday the 13th, the original. Okay. Um, Now, according to my research, there are 10 total kills in this movie. Okay. Um, but only 9 of them, I believe, are by the killer, and one is a retaliation by one of the other characters on the killer. Okay. So, I don't think, if you've never seen the original Friday the 13th, please leave now or plug your ears, put on a headset, do something for a few minutes. I'm going to give you time to walk out of the room or whatever, so you don't hear, because I'm going to tell you who the killer is. So, in case I don't really think that's any of you guys that are chatting in here, but just be on the safe side. Give you about a minute or so to, vacate the premises. Or mute me or whatever you want to do here. But I'll tell you, when it rolls over on to 902, not 90210, but 902, I'm going to start talking again about this. Okay. So if y'all want to put anything in the chat, about conventions or about what I'm getting ready to talk about, that's fine. And I know I'm just blabbing kind of ad nauseum, but I don't like to have silent, empty spots in my stream. So I try to just do something, talk about something while I'm waiting for time to pass. And we just lost 2 people. Just lost 2 people. I don't know what. Maybe they left because they haven't seen. Now we're back up to 7, but now it is 9:02. So now I'm going to say that the first Friday the 13th, Jason is not the killer. Jason does not show up until the very end of this film, and he doesn't actually start doing any killing until Friday the 13th, part 2. Okay. The killer in this original film is Pamela Voorhees, Jason's mother. Okay. And she's upset because they're reopened the camp again, the camp where her little boy drowned. Okay. So, again, we have 10 total kills in this movie. But I'm going to talk about my 3 favorites from this original film. The first one is Jack, who is Kevin Bacon's character. He is stabbed in the neck with an arrow. I always like that scene, and especially when I actually got to see it uncut, where it has a little more of the blood spurting up and you get to focus more on it. Um, because at that time, the whole idea about the killer actually being under the bed or under, under something where somebody's laying down, whether it's a bed or a hammock or whatever. Um, was, in my opinion, at that point in time, kind of a new thing. So it wasn't something that you were expecting. It wasn't like now when somebody's laying on the bed and you're in a movie, in a horror film, and you're just waiting for something to happen, a knife to come through there, a spear to come through, something to come through there and kill that person, or somebody to reach around and slit their throat, or, any number of things. Okay. So this was a really, in my opinion, cool effect and cool kill. Okay. Um, the second one is Marcy's character, who is axed in the face in the bathroom. I thought, and of course, Tom Savini did the special effects for this. I always thought that that was a fantastic kill in a horror movie. And again, we didn't see a lot of people up until that point in time getting axed in the face. And of course, I have Tom Savini's Grand Illusions books. And in the first one, he actually breaks down how they did certain scenes in Friday the 13th. And the axe to the head of Marcy was one of them that he talked about. And he talked about how they achieved that effect, because that was one growing up when I first saw this Friday the 13th movie. Um, I did wonder, how exactly did they do that? And so having these books that, of course, some people might say, well, that takes away some of the mystique, Dana, of the special effects. Once you know how they did it, it doesn't seem as cool. But for me, it's the opposite. It makes it more cool, because I'm like, that is really awesome how they were able to achieve that effect. And there was a one point in time where I was really into special makeup effects. I still like it, but there was a one point in time where I was seeing a lot of different special makeup effects work in different horror films, and I became convinced that I wanted to be a special makeup effects person. And that is one of the reasons why I got the Tom Savini books. And when Tom Savini opened his school, I really wanted to go there. Of course, there was no way I was going to be able to have the money, or my parents were going to have the money to send me. And another thing was, I didn't think I was artistic enough. A lot of these people that do this stuff, they can sculpt, they can paint, they can do everything. It's not just like, we're just going to throw a bunch of shit in here and this is what it's going to be something incredible. Okay. There's a certain art that goes along with that. And I just didn't think that I really had what it took to be a special makeup effects person. There's more to it than making up vats of fake blood and splattering it on walls and things like that. It's like Tom Savini says, it's magic tricks. And so that effect, when she gets hit in the face with that axe, and you've already seen the axe hit the light and ding off that, like that ding, and then bam, goes into her face. Okay, so the third kill is not one by Pamela Voorhees. It's one that ends up killing Pamela Voorhees. And that's the decapitation of Mrs. Voorhees with a machete by Alice. I'm big on decapitation scenes in horror films. not in real life, but just in horror films. And some people might be thinking, no, but Dana, that decapitation scene and that is kind of hokey. Um, and, you could tell it was fake, and you could tell that that was not Betsy Palmer because the hands that come up in that shot are covered with hair on the backs of the hands. No, that was Tasso. That was Tasso Stravakis. I'm probably massacring that poor guy's name, but Tom Savini's assistant at the time, and his good friend. And but I don't know, guys. When I get into a movie, I can push all of those inconsistencies, the flaws, all that. I can push that to the side. If it's still a really good effect overall, then I just roll with it, you know. And I mean, I've listened to all the stuff where they talk about how they achieve that effect by setting the fake head on like toothpicks, literally, bouncing it on toothpicks, and then just, and basically, I've seen pictures of Tasso. He's like bent over like this, and then the head is like the upper part, the head, and maybe not the torso really, but neck area and stuff is on him, and then the machete slices through those toothpicks and off comes the head. TJ, you say Brenda had the worst death in the first, um, and can't really even tell exactly how she was killed. Well, I had a question about, rather than go back and rewatch every one of the films, I did cheat a little bit, and I looked at a website that had all the kills broken down for all the Friday the 13th movies. I'm not saying I haven't watched all of them, I have, but this was just a little reminder for me of all the actual kills in there. Um, and they actually, Brenda, they say stabbed, and I put a question mark beside it, and she was thrown through a window, because I mean, it kind of looks like she was stabbed, but there were some off-screen deaths in this. And so some of them, unless it's blatantly obvious what was used to kill them, we're not really sure. Um, because didn't Brenda, when she comes like falling through the window, and that's obviously when she falls through there, that's Tom Savini with a wig on. Well, when she fell through there, and then you actually see Laurie Bertram, who played Brenda, you actually see her laying on the floor of the cabin. It was just Tom Savini when she actually fell through the window. But it looks like she's got rope around her, so I don't know. She was at the archery range, and we don't really see what happens to her. All the lights go on in the archery range, and then it goes to a kind of a wide shot, and you hear Brenda scream. So it's not really evident to me, anyway, of what exactly happened to cause Brenda's death. So I don't know if the killer took extra time and like tied her up with ropes and tied her to one of the targets in the archery range, and stabbed her a bunch of times, or shot arrows at her, or did what. I don't know. Uh, So I totally get that, TJ. That, yeah, can't even really tell how she was killed. Hey, Anthony. Yeah, TJ, you said yeah they were guessing. LOL. Uh, so that's my top three kills for Friday the 13th. Now there were a whole heck of a lot of slit throats in this, which slit throats to me seem a little bit standard in slasher films. But I am going to go through these kills really quickly that I didn't talk about. Barry, at the beginning, he was stabbed in the gut. Claudette, they say she has a slit throat. Is it just me? But I don't remember Claudette, the girl at the beginning, uh, them actually showing what happened to her. So I'm not sure what that person meant by she got a slit throat because I don't think she was shown later. Um, Annie gets a slit throat. Ned has a slit throat. Um, like I said, Jack was stabbed in the neck with an arrow. Marcy got axed in the face. Brenda, we're not really sure. Um, Steve stabbed in the gut. Bill slit throat and shot with arrows. And again, Bill's death happens off screen. Alice finds him hanging on the back of the door later. You do see the arrows in there, but I cannot recall seeing that he had a slit throat. So I'm not so sure about that one. And Pamela Voorhees was decapitated with a machete by Alice at the near the conclusion of the film. So moving on to part 2, where Jason actually starts doing some killing. I have 4 favorite kills in this one. The first one is Alice gets dispatched quite quickly at the beginning of this one. Alice was the one who survived part 1, but she's stabbed in the head with an ice pick. Let's see. Mark is stabbed in the head with a machete. I just always like that kill. The third one is Jeff was impaled with a spear, which also leads to Sandra, his girlfriend, also getting impaled with a spear, which is another one that I like. I was discovering when I was going through these kills that a lot of people, we always like to talk about, or us fans of the series like to talk about, part 5 had a lot of gut stabs. But just looking through all of these, especially the earlier Friday the 13th, there were a lot of gut stabs and a lot of slit throats. A lot. So I'm going to go through the remainder of these kills. I've told you that my 4 favorite ones. TJ, you say you can find photos online of Claudette screaming with a machete at her throat. Yeah, but I guess my question is, did they actually show that in the movie, or are those like still photos? I'm just having a hard time recalling, and I just watched the damn 4K, so I don't know what my problem is about that, TJ. So here's a rundown on all the kills. Like I said, Alice gets stabbed in the head with an ice pick. Ralph, Crazy Ralph, gets strangled with barbed wire. Winslow, the cop, gets stabbed in the head with a hammer claw, which is another pretty cool kill, but it didn't necessarily make my favorites list. Scott gets a slit throat with a machete. Terry gets stabbed in the gut off screen. Mark gets stabbed in the head with a machete. And then you have that extra scene of, I think this just adds to it. He's in a wheelchair. And so when he gets hit with the machete, the wheelchair goes tumbling down the stairway, which just adds to that effect for me. Jeff gets impaled with a spear after having sex with his girlfriend Sandra, who is also impaled with a spear. Vicky gets stabbed in the gut with a knife. And here's another thing. Has anybody seen any pictures of Paul's character being decapitated? Because I know it wasn't shown in the film. The only thing I have seen is the scene near the end where they're carrying Jenny out. Oh, spoiler alert, Jenny makes it. So Amy Steele's character of Jenny is being carried out by the paramedics, and there's a cop at her side, walking by her side, and she said, "Where's Paul? Where's Paul?" And we don't ever know where Paul is. So I didn't know if there was any documentation, if there was any pictures. Perhaps it was something in Crystal Lake Memories. I don't know. Because honestly, I haven't read all of Crystal Lake Memories. I've read some of it, but I don't recall them saying that Paul was decapitated. So, John, you say, yeah, a show should be $15 to get in. I'll still go to the local full moon show because it's here and pretty cheap, and there's a vendor who brings good stuff. Outside of that, we'll see. John, you say I go back and forth on cons when it comes to driving. Yeah, Steve does too. And he would probably go to zero of them if I didn't want to go. So TJ, you're saying not not in the movie. Okay. So I'm assuming you're talking about the Claudette thing. Um, okay. So y'all go ahead and feel free to comment on any and all things in the chat. I'm going to move on to part 3, which I actually have 5 favorite kills from. So Edna getting stabbed in the head with a knitting needle is one for me. Loco getting stabbed in the stomach with a pitchfork. Vera getting shot in the eye with a harpoon gun. Andy cut in half while doing a handstand. That is one of my ultimate favorite kills in any Friday the 13th movie. Rick getting his head crushed and his eye pops out. So those are my 5 favorite kills from part 3. But let's give a rundown on all the other kills, right? So Harold gets cleaved in the chest. Fox gets stabbed in the neck with a pitchfork. But we don't actually see, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we don't actually see Fox get stabbed. We see the after effect. She's pretty much, the pitchfork is through her throat and she's in the barn, hanging up in the barn. And Loco finds her just before he gets killed. Let's see. And Loco was stabbed in the stomach with a pitchfork. Vera shot in the eye with a harpoon gun. Andy cut in half while doing a handstand. Debbie is stabbed in the neck. Shelley dies from an off-screen throat slit. Chuck is thrown into a fuse box and electrocuted. Chili is stabbed with a hot poker. Rick gets his head crushed and his eye pops out. And Ali gets his hand cut off and hacked away. Okay. So, moving on to part 4. Supposedly it's supposed to be the final chapter, but as we all know, that was not the final chapter. Tom Savini did return to do special effects in this one. I do have 5 fave kills in this one. So Axel gets his throat slit with a hacksaw and his neck twisted. That's one of them. Paul gets shot in the crotch. Jimbo gets stabbed with a corkscrew to the hand and then a meat cleaver to the face. Doug gets his head crushed against Jason's palm. And Sarah gets axed in the stomach. Okay, so there's my 5 favorite ones from part 4. Let's go through them all, guys. There are actually 13 kills in this one. So, one, of course, is Axel slit in the throat with hacksaw and neck twisted. Robbie gets disemboweled with a scalpel. A hitchhiker gets stabbed in the throat. Samantha gets stabbed. Paul gets shot in the crotch. Terry stabbed with metal rod. And that almost was one of my favorites. But the reason why it's not on one of my favorite kills in this movie is because it's only shown in shadow. So, no bonus points there. Tracy gets stabbed in the gut off screen. Jimbo stabbed with a corkscrew to the hand and a meat cleaver to the face. Tina thrown onto a car. Ted stabbed in the back of the head. Doug head crushed against palm. Sarah axed in the stomach, and Rob hacked to death with a garden tool. So, moving on to part 5, A New Beginning, where I had 5 favorite kills for the number 5 Friday the 13th movie, which, spoiler alert, has an imposter Jason in it. Okay. So, I could not include the Joey getting axed to death by Victor really as a favorite kill, even though the after effect of that is pretty awesome, because that's not one perpetrated by the main killer in the movie. Okay. So let me talk about my favorite ones in this one. The first one, Billy gets axed in the head. Lana or Lana, however you want to pronounce it, gets axed in the stomach. Tina gets stabbed in the eyes with garden shears. Demon impaled with a metal rod. And this time we actually get to see that. And Junior gets decapitated on his motorcycle. And Roy, the imposter Jason in this movie, gets impaled on some spikes. So, again, let's go through all the kills. And I lost quite a few people there, so I don't know. I got off the convention thing and got into the Friday 13th kills, and I'm losing my audience here. So, we get Joey axed to death by Victor. Benny, a flare to the mouth. Pete gets his throat slit. Billy, axed in the head. Lana, axed in the stomach. Raymond, stabbed in the stomach. See, we're seeing a lot of stabbed in the stomach kills. Tina, stabbed in the eyes with garden shears. Eddie, eyes crushed with a belt. Anita, throat slit off screen. Demon, impaled with metal rod. Junior, decapitated on motorcycle. Ethel, cleaved in the face. Jake, cleaved in the face off screen. Robin, stabbed with a machete. Violet, stabbed in the gut. Duke, throat slit off screen. Matt, throat slit and impaled on a tree off screen. George, eyeballs gouged out off screen. Are you seeing a theme here? A lot of off screen kills. And Roy, impaled on some spikes. So I'm really losing everybody now. Like, is Dead Pit doing something and I'm not aware of? Okay. So, part 6 had the most favorite kills of any Friday the 13th for me with 8 fave kills. Okay. So, Alan Halls gets his heart torn out. Lizbeth stabbed in the face with a fence post and drowned in a puddle. And I think that this one gets extra points, no matter how hokey you guys may think this is, for her offering Jason money and her American Express card for him not to kill her. And we all know Jason doesn't care about money. He doesn't care about credit cards. He just wants to kill your ass. A triple decapitation of Stan, Larry, and Katie. I love that scene. I'm sorry. That just makes me laugh every time I see it. I know that's demented, but how many of you cannot watch that scene where they're like, wait, I hear something. Then Jason jumps out and then the bodies just fall down. I just find the execution of that effect just hilarious. Roy gets dismembered. Martin stabbed with a Roy dismember wasn't one of my favorite ones because you don't get to actually see that. But Martin getting stabbed with a broken bottle is. Nicola slammed against the RV bathroom wall. Sissy neck twisted off. Uh, Pappas, one of the cops, his head is crushed. Mike, the sheriff, is folded in half. Honorable mention goes to Paula's death, where she sliced apart with a machete. And although we don't really see a lot of the slicing, this gets an honorable mention because of all the, as Joe Bob would say, the slime glopola, the blood splattering all over the place on the windows, the walls, and all of that in that scene. Um, so, um, so again, we're going to go through the all of the kills in part 6. Jason lives. I guess we'll start at the beginning. Alan Halls gets his heart torn out. Darren stabbed in the gut and thrown with a fence post. Lisbeth stabbed in the face with fence post and drowned in a puddle. Bert thrown against a tree and his arm is torn off. That one almost got one of my favorites, but the triple decapitation of Stan, Larry, and Katie was just, it was better for me. And I already mentioned Stan, Larry, and Katie, triple decapitation, so I'm not going to go into that again. Roy is dismembered. Martin stabbed with a broken bottle. Steve impaled with a machete. Annette impaled with a machete. Nicola slammed against the RV bathroom wall. Court stabbed in the head with a hunting knife. Sissy, neck twisted off. Paula sliced apart with machete. Thornton, metal dart thrown into head. Papa's head crushed. And Mike is folded in half. Okay. Let's see. TJ, you say, so according to Amy Steele, she said if she was going to be in Friday 3, she'd find Paul's head in a washing machine. Sounds like a joke she made and people ran with it. Gotcha. Okay. X-Ray, well, you missed the convention talk and you missed me talking about the first 6 Friday the 13th and the kills. But never fear, because you can always go back and watch it from the beginning later. And you're here to hear me talk about part 7, The New Blood, which was the introduction to Kane Hodder playing Jason Voorhees. There are 6 favorite kills for me in this one. And they are Judy gets slammed against a tree in her sleeping bag. Dan gets his hand, a hand driven through his back and his neck snapped. Let's see. Ben gets his skull crushed. Kate gets her eye stabbed with a party horn. Amanda gets impaled with a spear. Dr. Cruz gets his stomach torn open with a weed whacker. And Melissa, the bitchy blonde, gets axed in the head. Okay. So let's go through all of the kills in here. So John is drowned in Crystal Lake, but not by Jason, by his daughter who has telekinesis, Tina. Jane stabbed in the throat with a tent spike. Michael, tent spike thrown into back. Dan gets a hand driven through his back and his neck snapped. Judy gets slammed against a tree in her sleeping bag, which, by the way, is a favorite kill for a lot of people. Russell, face split open with the axe. Sandra, pulled into Crystal Lake and drowned. Maddie, throat slit with a scythe or skith. Ben, skull crushed. Kate, eye stabbed with a party horn. David, stabbed in the stomach. Eddie, neck slashed with machete. Robin, thrown out of window. Amanda impaled with spear, Dr. Cruz stomach torn open with weed whacker, and Melissa axed in the head. Actually, you said one of my favorites was towards the end where that biker tries to attack Jason from behind, saying, "You jive mother," then gets his arms chopped off and goes, "Ugh." Right. Okay. Hold on, guys. I'm going to let the dogs out, a couple of the dogs out here. And did you guys notice my new horror movie watching blanket? I've been wanting one of these for a long time, and there's many different versions of it on Amazon, and this is finally the one I decided on. Anyway, you guys probably saw that when I was been getting up and down, and probably when I'm moving my head around, you can see Jason behind me and stuff. You saying Friday 13 Part 3? Yeah, that one is pretty cool. Didn't make my top favorites, but still, yeah. So moving on to Part 8, Jason takes Manhattan, or Jason takes a cruise ship, whatever way you want to talk about it. I was back to 3 favorite kills in this one. JJ getting bludgeoned with her pink Flying V guitar. Let's see. Julius getting his head punched off. And Charles thrown from a window and drowned in a barrel of sewage in New York City. That one was probably I don't know, that and Julius getting his head knocked off. It's almost a tie for me, because the Charles character was just such a dick to his niece that I thought it only fair that that guy die deserving death. Actually, you say another of my faves is at the beginning of Part 5 where Vic chops up that fat guy. It was a knee slapper. Yeah, I didn't include that one in my favorites only because Jason, or the imposter Jason, did not commit that particular one. And the fact that we didn't actually see the carnage until later, like when they uncovered Joey and like his arm is like on top of his back. Actually, so my favorite kills in these movies are usually the funny ones. Yeah, some of mine are that way too. So, all of the kills in Part 8 are as follows. Jim gets his stomach stabbed and he gets disemboweled with a spear gun. Susie gets stabbed with a harpoon gun. JJ gets bludgeoned with her pink Flying V guitar. A boxer gets a hot sauna rock in the chest. Tamer is repeatedly stabbed with a glass shard. Chief Engineer Jim Carlson gets stabbed in the back. Admiral Robertson gets his throat slit with a machete. Eva gets strangled. A crew member accidentally shot with a shotgun by Wayne. Wayne gets thrown into a control panel and electrocuted. Miles is thrown onto an antenna. Deckhand struck in the back with a fire axe. Holmes stabbed in the back with a syringe. Jojo head hit against pipe. Julius gets his head punched off. A police officer is carried into an alley while being strangled. Colleen dies in a car explosion. Again, not due to Jason doing anything. Rennie wrecks the car, and then they can't get Colleen out quick enough. Charles gets thrown from a window and drowned in a barrel of sewage. A sanitation worker is bludgeoned with a wrench to the head. TJ, you say if they do another Friday, it should have Vic from Part 5 getting out of jail and becoming the new Jason. LOL. That would actually be kind of interesting, TJ. It really would. So, moving right along to part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. I have 5 favorite kills from this one. Um, Eric, his face gets bashed against metal grating and head stabbed with an autopsy probe. Deborah stabbed with a metal pole and ripped in half during sex, I might add. Um, Shelby B drowned in a deep fryer. Joey B face bashed in. Vicky stomach impaled with barbecue skewer and head crushed. Okay, so let's go through. There are actually 20 kills in this one, guys. So, and I don't consider all of these kills just getting possessed by Jason. I guess technically he has to kill him first, but whatever. So, Phil is possessed by Jason after eating his heart. Eric, face smashed against metal grating and head stabbed with autopsy probe. 2 FBI agents, one played by Kane Hodder, fingers driven driven into them. Alexis slashed in the face with a scalpel. Deborah stabbed with a metal pole and ripped in half. Luke has his head crushed. Edna, car door slammed against her head. Deputy Josh, possessed by Jason, later melts to the floor. Diana, knife sharpener thrown into back. Robert, possessed by Jason. Officer Ryan, head slammed against locker. Officers Mark and Brian, head slammed against each other. Ward B, arm broken and knocked against glass window. Diner patron, accidentally shot in the stomach by Vicky. Shelby B, drowned in deep fryer. Joey B, face bashed in. Vicky, stomach impaled with barbecue skewer and head crushed. Officer Randy, possessed by Jason. Sheriff Ed Landis, accidentally stabbed in the chest with a knife by Jessica. And Creighton Duke has his back broken from being bear hugged to death by Jason. Okay. X-Ray, you said, my favorite scene in Jason Goes to Hell is when the coroner starts staring at the heart, gets hypnotized somehow, and starts wolfing down the heart and going, "Arrgh." That is a pretty outrageous scene, X-Ray. Moving along to Jason X, which actually has 7 favorite kills for me, just one less than part 6. And I don't even care much for Jason X, but I guess that doesn't mean that it doesn't have some pretty decent kills in it. TJ said the waitress getting her head crushed and the brain hitting the ceiling. Funny is because it's so ridiculous, but my fave in that movie. So, here's my favorites. Adrienne, head frozen in liquid nitrogen and smashed to pieces. Azrael, back broken over Jason's knee. Condor, impaled on a giant screw. I don't like the pun that he just got screwed, but I like the execution of that kill. Kicker, torso sliced in half with machete. Lou, hacked apart with machete. Professor Lowe, decapitated with machete. And Janessa, sucked into a metal grate through space by Uber Jason. So here's all the kills. We have 24 kills in this one total, guys, according to this person that did these lists. So Private Samuel Johnson, head bashed in and hung with a chain. A soldier is bludgeoned in the head with a machine gun. Another soldier is thrown into machine gun fire. Another soldier has his neck broken and choked with a chain, and yet another soldier is bludgeoned with a pole. Dr. Wimmer is impaled in the back with a thrown pole. Sergeant Marcus knocked through a metal door. Adrian, head frozen in liquid nitrogen and smashed to pieces. Stony, back impaled with machete. Azrael, back broken over Jason's knee. Dallas, head bashed against metal wall. Sven, neck broken. Condor, impaled onto a giant screw. Gecko, throat slash with machete. Kicker, torso sliced in half with machete. Briggs, back impaled on a crane hook. Lou, hacked apart with a machete. Professor Lowe, decapitated with a machete. Trevor, head crushed against control panel. Kenza, they exploded in the space shuttle. Waylander, back broken, blown up in exploding space shuttle. Janessa, sucked into a metal grate through space by Uber Jason. Two virtual reality girls slammed against each other in their sleeping bags, which I absolutely hate that. I hate that scene in there. And Sergeant Brodsky, immolated when re entering Earth 2's atmosphere. John, you say Jason X in theater was an experience. It's so silly. I remember the digital simulation of a camp got a big cheer from the crowd. Yeah, and I really don't know why. That's just my opinion, though. Okay, so even though I can't stand Freddy versus Jason, it does have 6 favorite kills for me in it. So, Trey getting stabbed and folded in half. Blake's dad getting decapitated. Glow stick guy impaled against Gib with a pipe. Who Gib was another character that got impaled. This guy head twisted around. Let's see. And Freeberg, let's see, cut in half with machete. And you guys are probably going to groan, but number 20 is Freddy's decapitation because it was pretty cool. So let's go through all 20 of the kills in Freddy versus Jason that were attributed to Jason. There were some others that were attributed to Freddy. So Heather gets impaled against a tree. Trey stabbed and folded in half. Blake's dad decapitated. Blake slashed off screen. Gib impaled by pipe. Glow stick guy impaled against Gib and, with pipe. This guy head twisted around. Shack impaled with flaming machete. There were ravers. There were 6 ravers that were slashed to death with a machete. Let's see. I totally lost my. I think. Okay, so. Yeah, I don't know what happened here, but I think I lost my count here. So, security guard crushed by a door. Deputy Stubbs electrocuted. Freeberg cut in half with a machete. Charlie Linderman impaled against shelf bracket and then bled out by Jason. Kia slashed with machete, flies against tree, and Freddy being decapitated. So, John, you say, I don't hate any Jason film besides Freddy versus Jason. I hate that movie so bad. It's just like a generic Freddy movie with awful characters. TJ, you say the audience loved premarital sex. John, you say, just the stoner guys and the ain't you got a pig to fuck and people hated Halloween ends. LOL. John, you say, ha, yeah, TJ, that popped it. Okay, so this moves us into Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake, which, believe it or not, guys, I did not hate and had 6 favorite kills for me. So, Pamela Voorhees getting decapitated with a machete. Amanda roasted alive inside sleeping bag. Richie head split in half by machete. Chelsea stabbed through the top of the head. Lawrence axe head impaled through back. And Bree impaled against deer antler door hook. Just because I think that's unique. So 14 rather total kills in this one. Let's break those down, guys. So Pamela Voorhees decapitated with machete. Wade, ear cut off and slashed with a machete. Amanda, roasted alive inside sleeping bag. Mike, stabbed and killed off screen. Richie, head split in half by machete. Donnie, throat slit with machete. Nolan, arrow through the back of the head. Chelsea, stabbed through the top of the head. Chewy, a screwdriver in the neck. Lawrence, axe head impaled through back. Bree, impaled against deer antler door hook. Officer Brackey, impaled through eye with fire poker. Trent, impaled through back with machete. And Jenna, impaled through back with a machete. So that pretty much concludes my Friday the 13th favorite kills. And we did it in, well, probably just under an hour where I was actually talking about this stuff. And I've still got 6 people in here, which ain't too bad, you know. So, I'm going to try to let the dogs in, guys, real quick. Let's give me just 1 second here. So, I could probably stay in here for about 10 more minutes if anybody wants to stay in here with me. So, I know people do a lot of these things. They break down the kills. Excuse me, they probably talk about their favorite kills and all that. But I always like feedback so I can kind of get a handle on what kind of things people like to see. So, was this enjoyable for anybody or was it boring or is there anything I could do to spruce it up if I do another one of these for like, maybe Nightmare on Elm Street or something? I'll take any suggestions anybody may have. Actually, my head is, I don't know if it's the hat or what. John, you say, is it or ma, because it sounds like the first. Well, actually, I agree with you, John, that it sounds like the first, but I have watched an interview with Harry Manfredini, and I believe he says it's ma, because like the kill, like, the scene where it shows Pamela Voorhees' mouth and she's saying, "Kill her, mommy, kill her." I think that's what Manfredini was trying to do with the little device he was using. He said like kill, and then it went, and then he said mommy, and it went ma. So that I believe is where the that little sound in the music comes from. Yes, yes. Harry Manfredini says it's the kill, 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 mom, mom, mom. Yeah, yeah. But I know Manfredini's the one that did the music for it, but still, I think that that could be totally open to interpretation on anybody's part. I guess it just it depends on how certain people hear it. But so did you like this favorite kills thing, or do you think it was a little dry or a little boring? Is there any way I could spruce it up if I did another one of these? Um, oh my gosh, yes, John, I mishear uh lyrics and different things. Steve's always laughing at me because I'll mishear something, something somebody says on a movie or a television show, and he'll be like, "No, Dana, they didn't say that. They said this." Um, so TJ, you say you like to stream, a good one. Well, that's a positive. John, you say do a best of Lucio Fulci grunts. LOL. He said, just kidding. I don't know if I could do that or not. But I'll try to, if you like these fave kills, maybe I'll do maybe not fave kills, but favorite music or something, or I might try to do another fave kills for like Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. Um, that might be pretty interesting. Um, but yes, John, there's a lot with the Freddy movies. Yeah, I think there would probably be a lot more for me than the Friday the 13th movies. But I was just thinking about different things I could do early yesterday evening, and the Friday the 13th thing came to me. I still haven't decided what movie I want to do the watch along for on Saturday. Um, I kind of wanted to do something, either fall themed or Halloween themed or something, but I'm not sure exactly what I want to do yet. But I need to get that up there before it gets too late in the day. Oh, I did want to tell everybody how my second interview went today, in case anybody is curious. I did have a second interview. It was through like Microsoft Teams, and it was with me and the IT manager. And basically, he shared his screen with me and showed me like the back of a computer. Technically, I could have cheated because I was sitting here looking at the back of my own computer. But I pretty much know, I've been around computers enough to know the hookups on them. And so he just asked me about a few things. He asked me did I know what the Ethernet port was? I mean, he didn't say these things, but he would say, well, what about number whatever, and I would tell him. So, and he asked me what's a VPN, and I told him that, and he asked me like a few like questions like, what if somebody told you their computer was running slow? What would you do? What if somebody told you that their PC was not powering on? What would you do? Um, what would you do if you didn't know how to fix something? And I answered that. What would you do about an error code message? I mean, just pretty, if you've been in IT long enough, those are pretty standard questions that they will ask you when you have interviews. So he told me that I would hear something from him by the end of the week. And he said he had about 3 or 4 more of these, I guess, like interviews to do. And I don't know how many people they're hiring. Like they talk like they wanted somebody in the Eastern time zone, which I am. He told me that early on. And he said, I got about 3 or 4 more of these to do today. And he said, but you will definitely be hearing from me by the end of the week. So that sounded positive to me. And he said, the next step will be meeting, I guess, having another Teams thing with him and his boss. So keeping my fingers crossed. Yeah, John, I always forget about that, like talking about checking resources and stuff. But he did bring that up. He didn't say that, but I knew what he meant. Tell him to close the 30 fucking Chrome tabs because, like, it's unbelievable how many tabs people will have open. It's like, what in the hell? Why do you need that many? TJ, you want to know? Do you want me to do one on Best Evil Dead Deadite? Um, I could probably tell you my favorite now, and you're probably going to say, "Ah, but that's because you like it, Ted Raimi." But I like the Henrietta Deadite in Evil Dead 2 really well. Yeah, or reboot 3 times. Yeah. TJ said, "Good luck. May the best Dana win." Wouldn't that be funny if everybody that was interviewing was named Dana? Be kind of scary too. Thank you, John. I could use all the good luck that people can throw my way. But at least, I still could get turned down for it until they actually tell me you have the job. Do you want it? I'm not going to relax. So, um, but at least it's moving in a more favorable direction than some of these other ones have been. Some of them, the people won't even give me the time of day. They won't even give me an interview. So, TJ, you say, haha, good one. But guys, this has been fun. I have enjoyed it. But I think being as it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to officially skedaddle on out of here for the night. And I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. We still got about 5 or 6 people. Um, I didn't intend this one to be a super long one. And I kept it at right around 2 hours. So total, everything. So, yeah, thank you guys. I will try my best to come up with a movie for the watch along for Saturday here shortly so that I can get that promotion out there so people can decide if they want to be on the stream with me for it. Uh, so I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now.